Hello and welcome to the MMAD Lab. I just want to start out with just a few basic rules of the MMAD Lab. We don't want any eating or drinking in here or in the studio or gum chewing. We just want to keep this place clean. And when you come in, if you could just please take your shoes off and place them here, because we do not want to ruin our nice green floor. Just some other basic rules. Unless you're operating equipment, please don't touch anything. We just don't want things to get broken. And some other basic rules. Move slow, please. Don't be running around. There'll be lots of cables that you could possibly trip over. So just move gently and slow. If you're going to be operating these hot lights over here, please wear gloves. They get very hot. These LED lights do not get hot, but these tungsten lights over here do get hot. So if you operate those, please wear gloves. If you're not sure about something, just please ask for help. I or somebody else would be happy to help you out with anything if you're not sure how it works. And also use sandbags for the monitor, sandbags for lights, and sandbags for mic stands, just so things don't tip over. And always, we'll go over this with the camera, but always have your tilt lock on so these cameras here do not tip over. All right, so now we are gonna just go over some basic camera operation. So to get power to the cameras and to the lights, we just need to make sure the power relays is on. That gives it power. And now if we just want to set like a lighting preset, we can just go with preset 1, and that gives our lights power, and voila, our lights turn on and our camera's monitors turn on. But the power relays will probably be on when you come in here, and there is no reason you need to touch this, but for some reason, if you're not getting power to the camera, it's because the power relays are not on. Okay, so now we'll go through some basic camera operation. The cameras will be stored over in the corner here. To say we want to set up this shot and get a nice, wonderful shot of Mr. Box over here. We'll have to move the camera, obviously, so we'll make sure that the wheels are unlocked. As of right now, they are. Most important thing, we want to make sure that your tilt lock is locked so the camera doesn't fall forward. You want to make sure the tilt lock and your pan lock are locked well. To unlock, you press down. To lock, you press up, and you don't want to crank on it too hard because these are plastic and they will break, but just a nice firm little lock there. It will do it fine. So you need to be careful of the cords. Push the cameras gently into position. They sometimes get lodged up on these little plastic things down here. Those are to prevent you from rolling over the cables. So if you need help, ask for help for a spotter to help you push it into place. So once we get our camera in the location that we want, we lock them, press that down, and you want to lock at least 2 of the corners, press them down like that. And now the camera will not move. So now we want to turn on the camera. We come over here, and the power switch is right here, and just rock it over to on, and our camera turns on. And so we'll want to pull out our LCD screen. There's a little button that you kind of press in the middle. It's a little tricky, but you pull the LCD screen out. And there we have our image on our LCD screen, but we also want to use the monitor up here. So to frame, well, actually what we want to do first is put in a card. So this is the case for the micro P2 card, is what you're going to be shooting your footage on. They look similar to SD cards, but they are not. They're higher quality cards. You just take it out, of the case. And here is our P2 card slot right here. You want to make sure it goes into the P2 card slot. There is also an SD card slot that you don't want to put it into. On the far left here, there's an SD card slot. You don't use that. Use the first slot here, the P2 card slot. And you want the writing to the left, and you just slide it in gently until it clicks. You'll hear and feel a little click. That's how you get it out. And to get it in, you just click it till it clicks. And then you go ahead and close the door. You don't ever want to remove the cards while it's either formatting the card or recording. You probably will lose all your footage and damage the card. So a good rule of thumb would be to even put the card in when the camera is off and remove the card when the camera is off, just to reduce this from happening. So now we're going to go ahead and format the card. Oftentimes the cards will probably already be formatted, but in case you come in and a card is full, we are going to go through how to format it. So you come over here, same place where you turn it on, and there's a little rocker. You just rock it over to mode. And then, as you see, what will come up is these little thumbnails of some clips that were already on there. So we had some stuff that we had just shot earlier. So we want to get rid of this footage and clear this card so we have a full card. So we are going to want to go ahead and press the menu button. And then up comes a thing that says thumbnail. We want to go down, use this little rocker thing, press down, and go to operation. And press that, and then we want to format slot 1. And we are just pressing in this button here. You can go either up and down with it, and to engage it, you press it. You just need to be very careful with it because it's a very fragile button, so please operate gently. And now it is now formatting. You'll just have to wait a second and you'll get a little thing, format complete, and then now you just press that button again. And to get out of this, you just press the menu button. And we get our little thumbnails again, and then we go back over and press our little rocker over to mode, and then we get our shot back up again. So now we're going to want to frame up a shot. We got our camera as to where we want it. We double check again just to make sure our tilt lock is engaged up. If it's not, there's a chance the camera will fall over and everybody will be very sad. So the first thing we're going to want to do is establish our focus. So the best thing to do is to zoom in onto your subject as far as you can, basically, by pressing this rocker down. That's your zoom rocker right there. The harder you push, the faster the zoom will go, and the softer you push, the slower it will go. So that's what this little rocker here is, your zoom rocker. So you want to zoom all the way into your subject, and as you can tell there, it is not a very good focus. You probably want to find something with detail. So maybe if we panned up, making sure we can go ahead and undo our pan lock here. So move around to, there we go, something that has a little detail, and we'll just pretend it's out of focus there. So let me get my camera in focus. And then we want to use this little rocker here as our focus knob. It goes back and forth, as you can see. I've set it up so if somebody is walking towards you, you pull your focus towards you. And if somebody is walking away, you push it away. So if somebody walking towards you, you pull the focus knob towards you. If somebody's walking farther away, you push it away. It just makes it a little easier to remember that. So we want to go in and get our focus on our little Mr. Boxman. And that looks like some pretty good detail right there. So we've established our focus. Now we can zoom back out using our zoom rocker there. Pressing it down that way zooms out. And if we want to zoom in, we can press it the other way. And let's say if we want to zoom back out. And that's how that operates. So we want to make sure we don't ever shoot anything completely wide. As you can see in the corners there, we can see a little bit of our teleprompter. It's just because the lens on this is a very wide lens, so we want to just zoom just past where those teleprompters are. So we want to be very aware of our corners. See, we can see, where's my finger? Oh, there we go. You can see the edge of our teleprompter. Keep zooming in, and there we go. There we go. So that's about as wide as we're going to be able to get with this shot. So now we want to establish our exposure. So to get a correct exposure, here is our little exposure rocker here. It's the iris control or exposure. And you just work it up and down until you find the correct exposure that you want. Some people like to use what are called zebra stripes to get a correct exposure. Let's see if I can get this in focus first. There we go. And zebra stripes, you want just a little bit of zebra stripes on there. As we can tell, it's hard to tell on the screen here, but yeah, there's a lot of zebra stripes there. That's a little bit too much. You're going to be a little bit overexposed, so maybe just a little bit on the hottest area. Right about in there is a pretty good exposure. As soon as you start losing detail on things, that means you're overexposed. So right around in there is a pretty good indicator of exposure. So that shot's looking pretty good. Obviously, if we were going to green screen that, we wouldn't want that door in there. But so maybe we'll just pretend we're going to use this, and we'll go ahead and zoom in and get more of a medium shot to get that door and the carpet out of there. And maybe that's a good medium shot right there. We still got a little bit of headroom. We got the door out of there. And we got the carpet out of there. So we would actually be able to key that out pretty well. So now we have our shots of Mr. Box there established. And to record, all we need to do is press the record button there. And as you can see up on your LCD screen, if I can get in focus here, I think I'm fighting the autofocus here. I forgot to turn that off. And there we go. We are recording. Yeah, I am definitely fighting the autofocus. I forgot to turn that off. A good rule of thumb is to not use autofocus. If I just forgot to turn it off on this time. So just learn autofocus. And on this setup right now, there is not set up for autofocus, so you will have to learn to use focus using this rocker. Here's our focus. Here is our iris or exposure, and over there is our zoom and our record engage. So that is basically the basics of camera operation.
They should hold on to the...
Oh, yes, and always, yeah, good. Thank you, Lisa. They always have at least, if you're adjusting, if you're taking the tilt lock off, always have one hand at least on your camera at all the time. And once you have your shot established, make sure to lock it into place with your tilt lock and your pan lock. Otherwise, somebody will come and bump it, and then it'll tip forward and it'll fall over and break, and then everyone's sad. So that is a good rule of thumb. Always just always just check your tilt lock. Okay, we're gonna have our shot. Unless you're gonna be doing panning or movement, always make sure to take it off. It's not good for the tripod to be moving it with the tilt lock on, so if you need to adjust your shot, take the tilt lock off like this, press it down. Take your pan lock off, press it up like this, adjust your shot, and get the shot that you want. Okay, lock, and then you want it to lock it into place. So that is the basics of camera operation. At some point we will be demoing how to use the audio if we are going to be running audio into the camera.